All right, guys, I wanted to go through a couple of things on the lighting on the Kubota L6060 I got here. And I know there were some conflicting views when I was doing this originally myself, changing some LED lights out. And I thought I'd run through just a little bit of what number bulbs they are and that, so you can kind of make your own decisions on what you want to switch it to. And I'll run through what I did on mine here. So I'll start with the front here. The L6060's got the side lights on the top here, which would be just side illumination. They're very poor lights when you get them from factory. Small, no better than marker lights in my opinion, really. They'll kind of shine a little bit, but not anything you can really do anything with. And then of course the headlights themselves. And you're going to find all kinds of stuff on the LED options you have for them. I opted to go with a little better quality ones. You can find a lot of different ones that range in price greatly. They will vary though on their quality, color temperature, really light pattern, which is a big thing. This is the first set of LED headlights I found that actually will work very similar to the halogens that were in there, only of course much brighter. So let me show you how that goes here. Okay, so just for numbers sake, on an L6060, the headlight bulbs equate to H4s. So if you're looking to replace them with something, the bulb base is an H4. And at the level you're seeing me at here, this is standing right in front of it, of course. Doesn't look too bright, you know, in terms of that. I mean, it is brighter, a lot brighter than the standard H4s that are in there from factory. But what you'll notice here is the cutoff is a lot better. So if you notice when I go down, that's where you get into the brightness of them, right? And you come up here. So to see that on the wall, they've got a nice cutoff, okay? And I'll show you here in the high beams too, because actually I'm sorry, it was on high beam. High beams shining out, low beams. You can kind of see the cutoff. I got a bunch of junk in the way here, but you'll see the low beams when you're looking right at them. Of course, nothing to really look at. When you get down to that level where they kick in, or where they're lined up in the wall, you can actually tell there's a definite cutoff. And what they do, these are the ones that I used were the Morimoto 2-stroke 3.0 bulbs. And I don't know if it'll show here very well, but let's give it a try here. You can kind of see in here. See, they got a little hood on the low beams. That's the same hood they use like on the halogen beams, right? So you don't get the glare that you would normally get. And these are aimable too. When I say that, you can change the angle that these are at. So if your pattern doesn't show up perfect, you can clock these bulbs a few degrees at a click, and that'll help line up your pattern. You can just look at the wall as you're doing it and kind of see how that works for you, right? So again, headlights are H4s, and what I used here in this particular one, if you like what you see, those are the Morimoto 2-stroke 3.0s. Very good light. We'll see how longevity goes, but I've had other headlights by Morimoto and they've been excellent lights, so hopefully these perform just as well. Now the one I had conflicting numbers on was the side light bulb, okay? Now the factory bulb, they'll give you a Kubota number for it, okay? Which is pretty much useless to try and find an LED bulb that replaces the Kubota number. Well, of course, Kubota doesn't make the bulbs. The actual bulb is a Sylvania 7440 that's in these tractors. 7440. Pretty worthless bulb. It's more of a marker light than anything else. But I replaced these with GTR lightings, offering that replaces the 7440 and a couple other the 7000 series, but plugs right in, turns right into the socket, plug and play. It's as simple as they come. And I'll show you those now. So side markers, turn the headlights off, front side lights. These front side lights are again, they're not made to really be an extreme light, okay? But the factory ones, the 7440 bulbs, Sylvania bulbs, were virtually worthless. And these, you can kind of see, get closer here, the camera's going to dim them out so that you can kind of see the light pattern there. So as I back away, it'll kind of clear up. The camera kind of takes away some of the brightness, but I can tell you, staring at them, it's a very modern look. So those are good there. Now, what I did is I kind of set this up to be multiple options for lights. And the factory work lights that would normally be in this position, and I'll show you what the factory lights were. And I'm sure if you got one, you've seen this. But again, it's a very, very poor, not much bigger than a marker light. I want to tell you these were only 35 watt. Having even two of these on the front, it barely lit up the front of the tractor. And you guys are aware of that if you already have one of these. But so I took those off and totally, and I went to Baja Design. These are the XL80s, XL80 Pros with the work scene lens on them, okay? So it really spreads the light. Now, each of these lights is 9,600 lumens. So, guys say, well, why don't you just put a light bar on? Well, I've done light bars, and I do light bars on just about everything, right? On the tractor, I wanted some more peripheral lighting, something with more of a pattern, and floodlights on a light bar. You know, if you do the floodlight pattern, it's good, but it's kind of all out the front or nothing. So I kind of adjust these. It gives you an option to kind of spread the light how you see fit. Maybe you want them pointed both directly forward. Maybe you want to fan them apart a little bit. Maybe you want to fan them in a little bit. But that's personal preference, really. But these lights are bright, and they spread a lot of light. So they're not a thrower. They're not going to get out, 500-600 yards or anything like that. And that's not what they're designed for. They're designed to spread a 120-degree pattern from the light out and just blast as much light in that area as it can. So when you look at these, they'll be, let me turn these on here. So I put in some extra switches. Okay. Camera's probably going to kill these a little bit, but they're extremely bright, okay? What I like about them, though, is the flood angles of the pattern. I mean, we're hitting the hood here. Lights are pointing up there. I'm still hitting light on the hood here, and I kind of aimed them out a little bit because I didn't like as much glare on the hood, but you can kind of see how it goes out. And granted, we're in a garage right now, but it's a nice, even light pattern, not focused, very spread light, okay? So I have the option to run those. Really wouldn't need anything else on in the front if I'm just doing front work. But I also like to have a 360-degree pattern of light because when I end up using the tractor, it's usually in the winter at most times, and I leave in the morning when it's dark, I come home when it's dark, and I need light. So these are definitely going to work here. So what I did though for extra lighting on the sides, and I'll show you this, is I put my Squadron Pros on the side. These are angled out now to the side, so they hit the ground and give me light basically from the door. You can kind of see here, I'm kind of lined up with the door, and I'm right here. So it's even out with the door out this way. And again on the other side, same way. So now I have light showing all directions. Granted, I take this outside to do this, but the weather's not quite conducive for me to do that today. It's raining out. So I'm just showing this here. I'll probably do a night vision one later on. To show how bright these actually are and how much of an area it actually covers. Okay, but just so you know, these come in at 4,600 lumens a piece. I mean, you can feel the heat blasting out of them. Okay, I got those on a separate switch, so I can run those and not run the tops, which again is kind of nice, because what I'll end up doing most of the time when I'm blowing snow is just have the front side lights on, and probably the side lights. So it'll be something like this. Okay, so I got just enough out front to see what's going on. I got a rear mount blower, so it's backing up is where I need the light back there, and I'll show you those in a second. So this way it keeps the glare off the hood. Nighttime, that's always better. But I've got a full 360 degree illumination, or I shouldn't say 360 degree, I'm sorry. At least 180 degree around from the door to door, basically on the tractor, is to see what I'm doing on that. Okay? And turn those off. So I did the same thing on the rear. So I did some side squadrons up here. Now those are Squadron Pro, okay, with a flood lens, by the way, because you can get them different ways, but I did a flood lens on these, so again, they spread the light. And then for the rear, I did also the XL80s. On the back here too. So definitely gonna have enough light for that. I mean, it lightens up everything back here without being so pinpointed that it's, you know, when you're not looking at them, it's not really annoying. Sometimes they get so bright, you know, kind of tough to work around them. But these do a great job of spreading the light so nice. And what I really like about, you know, going with the Baja Designs lights is that they use a 5,000 Kelvin. Now, for those of you that don't know, Kelvin, I mean, it's a color temperature. I'm sure you've seen it, whether you've really paid attention to it or not. I definitely know you noticed it on different lights. But 4,500 to 5,500, or I'm sorry, 4,500 to 5,500 Kelvin, not lumens, but in Kelvin, it's going to be the whitest light you can get without going to the blue tint. Okay, and you know, you can see lots of videos out there looking at lights, and it will make sense when you see it. But I personally don't like the blue light. I want the bright white light. In fact, a good way to tell you, or a good way to show you is, actually I can only get the headlights in that 6,500 Kelvin. So let me see if it shows on the camera here. We'll try this. I have not tried this, so I don't know if it's going to show right or not. But maybe we'll see a difference here. Yeah, not really. I mean, it's close, okay? You can kind of tell there's a little more bluish tint when I get down here with these headlights. You can tell there's a little more bluish tint than the work lights, okay? And that's your difference. Tops 5,000, the roof lights. Bottoms are 65, the headlights are 6,500. So that'll give you a little difference there. If you've been around lights enough, you probably already know all that, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. But it is good to know, and when you're looking for lights, to have that in mind if it's something you like or not on that bluish, more bluish tint. So then also I set up on hazards because I really couldn't stand the the factory ones there either because they're small, just incandescent bulbs. So what I went to is Phoenix Lighting, and these are the Phoenix Fusions in dual color. Okay, both front-facing lights on each side are amber white, and you can set these to any pattern you want. This just happened to be one I started with, but very intense. Definitely going to be seen when you have these on, right? So, but I took this a step further. I actually went into it and wired this in with the factory lighting also. Okay, so my upper facing ones or my forward facing lights are amber white. You can see them flashing between the colors here. In my rear ones, I did an amber red, but my hazard pattern is going to be strictly amber because I didn't want them flashing the red. I could not do that legally up in Minnesota here, but so I left these as the hazard pattern in, or I should say the strobe pattern in all amber. Okay, so what I did then is I made these. This is on a switch, okay, for just strobe pattern. But I did make it so that they worked with hazards and turn signals. So if I turn the hazards off, or the strobes off, and I go to my regular turn signal, so this is using the factory lighting harness from my turn signals. I've got just regular amber turn signals. Okay, and the way that they work, the other side stays on when you turn your turn signal on. That's just how they activate on Kubota. Okay. Now, if I had my hazards on or my strobes on at the same time I use my turn signals, because there's mode 1 and mode 2 in the lights, it'll still give me a decent enough flash pattern. But what you're getting there is a mix of the strobe pattern and the turn signal pattern. Okay? So you don't have to worry about turning the switch off just to make a turn. This will work just fine. What I did on the back, you can see I did those in red. Okay. And if I go just to if the strobe pattern's too aggressive for what you're doing and you want to keep it a little more toned down, if I do just the hazards like normal, so see I got regular hazards on. This is not the strobe pattern. And then get just my standard hazard flash. Okay, and in this particular one, you'll see back here that they are red, but I'm not doing them as a strobing pattern, so it's no different than a car pickup that has flashing red lights as a hazard pattern. So shouldn't get myself into trouble there. So it works together, and it's kind of a neat pattern also if I did hazards and the strobes together. It's one more pattern that you kind of get because of the mix that it does. This is a combination of the strobe and the hazard put together. So it's a little more tamed down flash pattern. It's like that. That's just one of the way it turned out. It's a combination. It's actually flipping back and forth in the lights themselves from mode 1 to mode 2. So as the normal light flashes on and off for the flasher of the tractor. Back here you can't really tell it because it's not very good on the camera, but it's flashing amber, then it drops to red. Does it fairly quick. Okay. This is just what I did. There's many ways of doing this, so there's no set way that is right or wrong when it comes to this, but you know, it's just some options. I really like how it turned out. I'll try and get a full night shot outside the tractor on it soon, but I think you can tell it's going to be fairly well lit. So it does have the high amperage alternator, in case anybody's wondering. You know, even with all the lights on, I'm probably close, if I did my math correct, probably 35 amps with all the lights on, which is a chunk. Okay, if I don't have the alternator spinning full bore, obviously I could run into a problem with battery down the road in terms of, you know, reserve power, but I'm not running all the lights at one given point. It's going to be a combination of a front and a rear, or single fronts or single rears, or just side lights or something like that. So generally we'll not do all lights together, but if you want to see it completely lit up, just to know that it does. Turn on the two more here. Should give you a rough idea. Maybe I can even do this. Okay. It is completely dark outside and I have no lights on in the shop. And as you can see, shop is lit up very well all the way around, even from side to side. So, give you an idea of what it looks like completely lit up. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was somewhat informational for you. If you have questions, just shoot me a comment in the comment below. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.